everybody. This is Dr. Marty Miller, Vice President of Research and Education for Superpatch. We are here for one of our lives that we've been doing, getting great feedback, people come in asking questions, but also hearing from some of our experts that are using Superpatch technology or vibrotactile technology in their practices each and every day. So we will have a special guest joining us, but feel free to ask questions. You can also hit me up at dr.martymiller72 as well if you have other questions that we don't get to today. So we're going to wait here a few seconds to let a lot of you come in, and my special guest will be coming on shortly, and we're going to jump right into it because he's been using the patches for a couple months now, also using them in his practice, not just with himself. And he's got a lot of great stories to tell and how it's helping his clients. So I'm excited to bring in my special guest here shortly. So in the meantime, if you have any questions, please fire away. We're going to dive into the different neural networks. We're going to get into vibrotactile technology, talk about the different organ systems in the body and how the brain and the skin are interconnected. And we're going to go from there. So let me I see he's texting me. So let me just send him a quick note. All right, should be coming in here just in a second. All right, so do you guys have any questions for me before our special guest jumps in here? Let's see. Yes, the technology is called vibrotactile technology. What that means is that on the super patch, there's a three-dimensional code, or sometimes we call it like a QR code, that interacts with the sensory receptors in the skin. And from that contact and sensation, it allows the neural networks, which there are hundreds of different neural networks, to get put back online. Or what we mean by that is to be brought back into its optimal or homeostatic position. So I like to think of these like our phone. So I was in an airport not too long ago, and I was trying to pull data, and I just saw my wheel spinning and spinning. And I saw the data trying to come through, but it just wasn't as efficient. All of a sudden, boom, I got good Wi-Fi signal, and the data came right through. So that's one way to look at what we're doing here with the vibrotactile technology, is that we're letting you kind of have that better Wi-Fi connection, and all of a sudden, boom, information flows. So my good friend is here, so he should be coming in a second. There he is, Dr. Brian Solo. How are you, buddy?
What is going on, guys? How are you?
Good.
How you doing, Marty?
Good, good. Thanks for joining. I know you've got a full patient load. You're a busy man.
Yeah.
But the group here is excited. I was just going through some of the science. And, first and foremost, Dr. Brian, it's been a couple months you've been using them, and I know that we chatted earlier. You kind of have a favorite combination going on. So if you want to maybe share with all of our friends and colleagues here what you've been using, and we'll go through some of the benefits you're seeing.
Yeah, absolutely. This month I've really been focusing on, in-office work. So what do I want to do when I'm in the office? I want to be as focused as possible. I want to be as efficient as possible. So I need to be essentially locked in, right? So the one that I'm using in particular is Focus, the Focus patch. I've really just found that really puts me in the zone. That saying, when you're in the zone, like a basketball shooter. But just improve focus. Things just click, right? Things just click, and I deal with a lot of patients that are in a lot of pain, right? So it's a situation where these patients, they might not always have the best mood. They may be a little cranky. They're in pain. I get it. You know what I mean? But if I'm able to show up for them in a way where I'm engaged, I'm, locked in, I'm able to be as sympathetic and empathetic as I can be and really listen to their story. I'm not aloof. I'm not, my head isn't in the clouds. And I'm really able to listen to their story and what they're dealing with. I mean, it's just helped with not only me understanding what's going on with them better, but actually, at the end of the day, I'm in sales, right? So it's like I'm trying to sell them on a treatment. So the fact that I'm so engaged and authentic and, all in with them is just been a great blessing to my business.
And I'm glad you brought the Focus patch up, because that's one I use frequently myself. Monday through Friday, when I wake up, I put it on first thing, and, I'll come back to how I found like a secondary use for it. But locked in is a great way to look at it. And also that locked in helps reduce stress, because if we are productive, if we are on task, right, that's definitely take out some of the noise that maybe takes you off task or keeps you away from being focused. So I really wish I would have had this as a young man, because I didn't really I didn't do good focusing on my schoolwork till I got into college and really knew I wanted to be in sports medicine, but I put myself behind because I couldn't focus when I was younger. So this is something I wish I had. But, when you look at the attention network, how important that is. So we have two different networks we can talk about. Attention network A, which is self-rumination, and then attention network B is focusing on the task at hand.
Right.
A lot of complicated stuff that comes with that. But if we can bring those back into homeostasis, and for anybody here that's not coming from that medical standpoint, our body is always searching for its ideal norm, right? Our core temperature always wants to be 98.6. Our blood pressure is shooting towards that 120 over 80. And our body's constantly doing this without us ever knowing it. But don't think that focus doesn't have a homeostatic presence as well. So this is where we're not stuck in our own head and start to drift off, where, as Dr. Bryant said, you can focus at the task at hand and then life gets better.
Right. And think about it. Look at all the medications that are prescribed, even to young kids nowadays. The Ritalin, with the ADHD diagnosis. This is something that's natural, works with your body's own system and, doesn't have any side effects. So, this could be a game changer when it comes to, your attention deficit disorders or whatnot, and just really help people focus in a lot more. I would say the other one that I've had really great results with, and I actually combine it with the focus, is peace. Mm-hmm. So for all you out there that don't know, focus is self-explanatory, but peace is actually for stress relief. And, I actually combine the two. So in addition to me being locked in and really focused on what I'm doing and, just being very efficient in my tasks and very efficient with my patients, I'm able to actually bring a very calm, stress-free demeanor to the table, which is paramount. You don't want anybody to be, overbearing or anything. It's like just that calm tone really puts my patients at ease, and I just kind of feel a sense of relaxation. But at the same time, the focus keeps me, it's not like a tired stress relief, right? It's more of a locked in calmness, like, this guy really knows what he's talking about. It makes sense. He's engaging, and it just gives my patients a better experience overall when they're in my clinic. So that's the combination that I use every single day when I'm at the office, right? Obviously, we talked about last month, the workout, taking it to another level, with the Liberty and the Victory patches, which just, are great for workouts. But, when it's time to really lock in and focus on what my patients are dealing with, those are the two that I always turn to, and they've gotten great results with them.
Yeah, and I love the peace patch too, because, if we look at stress, that could be the number one, health villain in the world, right?
Right.
That could lead to lack of sleep. That could lead to dysfunction in a lot of areas. So everyone's searching for a stress relief. But, as you know, Dr. Brian, I'm creating an education course, an evidence-based course, because, yes, this is a new concept in using the nervous system to reset the brain. But, these neural networks have always been there, and we've always been able to use the skin to communicate to the brain, just like we talked about before. If I pick up a marble or a tack, I'm going to know which one's which without ever having to look at it. So there is some really deep science behind the mechanical receptors, the ion channels, PZO1, PZO2, yes. And we will continue to lead with research. We will continue to come out with more and more of the science behind it. But the good thing about it is it's 100% drug-free, non-invasive, right? So we're not putting anything into the body. We're stimulating the sensory nerves on top of the skin throughout the body. And it's allowing that neural network just to come back to where you are at your best. And, kind of a tagline I've put in the course, right, is, just use what your body has. That's what we're really doing. Establishing your ideal norm. Now, again, different age, different genetics. We're not saying that everyone's going to see the exact same experience, but, I look at it this way, Dr. Brian, I'll throw it over to you because you see this every day with what you do. The central nervous system is always under attack. And what I mean by that is we have stress, we have lack of sleep, we have age, we have injury, right? So the central nervous system is always being challenged. So why would I not want to do my best to neurologically come back out with optimum neurology could then equal optimum physiology?
Right. exactly. I mean, everybody's going to present their 100% most healthy self in different ways. You know, if you're 80 compared to somebody that's 20 years old, you know, the recovery is totally different. You know, they're going to be able to heal a lot faster. But what we're trying to do here with chiropractic is, with these adjustments, is give people's nervous system the ability for them to express themselves as healthy as possible. So I think that's why I was so fascinated with Super Patch, in that, wow, if there's something that can help the adjustment, I mean, that'd be a game changer. You know what I mean? So obviously the pain patch is great for all my patients, because that's mainly what I see. Marty, I'd love for you to go over again, like, a little bit, just, I know you kind of just said it, but like a simple version of what Super Patch does, because I know a lot of people have questions like, wait, there's no medicine in it. There's no, you know, how does it actually stimulate? Like, what is it doing into our like inside our bodies?
Yeah, and in all transparency, you know, I come back from a medical background, athletic trainer, have my doctorate. So when it was approached to me, I was like, okay, I can understand the science. And I dug into it, read, and then I used it. And now here we are in my position. We're going to continue to lead with research. So more and more will always be coming. And I'll be the first to tell you, we're going to learn more as we go. But we know at the high level the science works. So when we look at the body, it has 11 different organ systems, right? You know, you got the skeletal system, you got the lymphatic system, respiratory, digestive, urinary, reproductive, cardiovascular. Skin, right, is an organ system as well. But then within those organ systems, you can say 5 are critical. And the brain, right, heart, lung, kidneys, and liver. So if we take the most important organ, the brain, it's communicating with the largest organ, the skin. I don't see that as a coincidence, right? You know, I always like to say, you know, God put us together, however you want to say it, for a reason. So we've always known the skin is the largest organ in the body, and one of its job, outside of protecting the internal organs and keeping things out, is to communicate the outside world to the brain, so the brain can regulate and make changes as it needs to. So just like if I put my hand on a hot stove, I don't need to think about it. That reaction automatically happens. It's not it's not a learned response. It's pre-wired that something's got to go.
Like, you know to do that without even thinking about it.
Right. Absolutely. And part of the course I'm building, I'm fascinated with the brain development, because, you know, my grandbaby was born 12 weeks ago. So when you look at even in an embryo, this computer program runs, right? It goes from a neural tube to a neural groove to a brain stem. So our body is wired to create this. So when we look at the skin, if we think about somebody who's blind who reads Braille, now that's a learned response. I will give you that. But they, without seeing anything, they put their finger over patterns, and it instantly communicates to the brain. Well, guess what? Our founder was able to decipher over 15 years of research that, yes, you can learn things. And there was a research study out of Japan in 2005, I believe, that said once your skin learns a sensation, it never forgets it. So go back to, if I put a feather on your neck, if you've been touched by that feather before, you know what it is immediately, right? So what he was able to build off was, if the body has this and it can learn it, was there innate, unlearned patterns that stimulate a response in the brain? And over 15 years of breaking down brain waves and isolating these neural patterns and these neural connections, yes, the skin, through haptic or vibrotactile technology, just stimulating light pressure. And somebody just came out, 2 people came out, won the Nobel Prize in 2021 by identifying the exact ion channels that elicit that response. So back to layman's terms. If I put my hand on something, a sensation's immediately gone to the brain, and it understands exactly what that is and what to do with it. So when we look at these different neural networks that we're talking about today, stress network, there is, if you watch a brain scan and somebody's under stress, you will see certain parts of the brain light up. So it's overactive. It's not back to its ideal. So what Jay, our founder, was able to do was isolate those, and through using a patch, he had other technology first, with a unique pattern, allow that system just to come back to its normal ideal.
So each patch, each essential, like the QR code that we're talking about, essentially that pattern, each pattern is different on every patch.
Yes, but the unique thing about it is, since we were programmed from, you know, being an embryo through birth, your pattern for peace would be the same as mine.
Right.
Now, genetically and other things could be where I might see a phenomenal effect. You might see a gradual effect over time, because there's so many other factors, right? So those are the one-offs, and that's where the research is going to continue to take us, right? We're dedicated to that. So this is the exciting part about it, is we're on kind of a groundbreaking cusp of, we know it's working. Now let's continue to dig and find even more specifics so we can give people even better results.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really excited about the Lumi patch. I'm all about anti-aging and, skin health and whatnot. Everybody wants to look as young as they could possibly feel. And the Lumi patch, like, I put that on every day, and, I'm just adding it to my skincare routine or whatnot. And, I'm looking to experience the results very soon here. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I was just at iSpa, so it's the International Spa Association, and these are experts in skincare, right?
Really? Okay.
The best of the best, right? From the Ritz-Carltons, you name it. And when I explain the science, and the basic science is during cellular respiration, when we produce these little energy nuggets of ATP, part of that also is where our skin is supposed to transmit 10,000 photons per square centimeter. And this just comes down to, have you ever seen somebody who has naturally glowing skin and somebody who doesn't?
Yeah.
Genetics, but maybe that neural network is operating at a higher level than someone else's. Now, age and other factors. But when I explained it to the spa industry, they're like, oh my God, it makes a ton of sense. We're trying to do that with different technology. So no one said, well, no, the skin doesn't have a natural glow to it. It doesn't illuminate. We're beings that emit energy. So that's the cool part about it, is it can be part of your plan. And, that's something that people use, and it's one of the most popular ones we put out recently.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. I mean, the skincare industry is billions of dollars. I'm sure it's going to be very, very popular, as well as the pain. I mean, what I love about it is there's something for everybody, right? If you're lacking in your life in any area, whether it's sleep, that's one of my faves. I mean, the REM plus, we can combine that with the peace at night. That's a game changer when it comes to
my combo.
Yeah, getting quality sleep. So you're calm, you're stress free, you're relaxed.
Think about what that does for aging.
Yeah.
Just the fact that you're getting back to what your most maximum sleep is. And I've had friends who, again, I'm fine with it. Like, all right, I'm going to try. We'll see what happens. Please do. That's why I reach out to science-minded people. And after 3 days, like, dude, look at the data on my Whoop. They're like, all right, like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Cool. And the other part, before we jump off, the focus. I love that before a workout.
Yeah.
It helps me really lock in during my workout. And it makes sense. It's really a benefit, like what I always get, like an accidental benefit of the focus. If you're locked in during your workout, you do get that extra little bit, right?
There's too many people at the gym, on their cell phones and messing around, talking. It's like, you want to get in, get out, use the focus, use the victory, the mobility one as well. And it's that's definitely a great combo. I actually got to try that focus for sure. Yeah.
So for all of you that joined in from either Super Patch, you better get my good friend, Dr. Brian, a like. He puts out some amazing content. And thank you for anybody that's jumping off of, your platform. But the key thing is we're going to keep coming out every month with more and more knowledge, education, leading with the science, explaining the amazing technology that is Super Patch. So how I explain it is the application through the skin is very simple,
right?
That because we understand the skin. The complexity was able to understand the brain waves. There's the focus. I got mine right here.
I got both shoulders. Both shoulders, guys.
Yeah. So the complexity was figuring out the unique patterns, right? And that's the complexity. But it took our founder about 15 years to do that. But rock star and changing lives. But 2 questions. Somebody asked, are they over the counter? The answer is yes, because there's nothing in it, right? There's no prescription medicine. There's nothing being driven in the body.
Natural.
And we have a series of 12 patches ranging from pain to Lumi for skin, Rocket for men, Freedom, which is the pain one I mentioned, Liberty, which is mobility. So you'll see that, we've got 12 unique ones, and they are unique, but can also be combined for like what I like to call the 1 + 1 = 3 outcome.
Right. Yeah, no, guys. And if you want to purchase, I'll actually be posting on my IG very soon. I'll post a link in my stories as well if you guys want to get or just basically roam and see what patches are available and see what you connect with, because there's patches for everybody. If you want to be, I like to call it superhuman, you got to use Super Patch, because it's going to take whatever area that you're lacking in your life, it's just going to take it to the next level. So I love it.
The last question came in is how long do they last? They're 24 hours, right? They're made by 3M, made here in the United States. So they're the best product and material. You get 28 in a pack, but they are made by 3M and they're a 24-hour use.
Yep. You get a month's worth in every pack. Yeah. Absolutely.
Awesome. And some I use every day, some I use as needed, right? Like the Joy Patch, right? It's mood dependent, but you know, the key thing is that I have it available if need be.
Absolutely.
So, Dr. Brian, I can't thank you and all of your followers enough to come in here with us tonight. And, you know, I know you probably got some more clients to get to and go make people feel good. So I'll let you get
sir. Appreciate you, Marty. Always a pleasure.
Awesome. All right, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Take